up, world? Back again. It is the Country Rap Report. Yours truly, VicXL.
What's up, guys? It's Mariah.
So you're not going to say Creeker Mariah?
Sure. What's up, guys? It's Creeker Mariah.
Okay. All right. Now, y'all know when y'all check out the Country Rap Report, first of all, remember, we air every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Come be part of the latest, crunkest, dopest chat in the world. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. What we do right here in the Country Rap Report, as a team, we try to cover all the aspects of the genre of country rap, whether it's through reviews, reactions, country rap hot topics, whatever's going on in this genre, we're trying to cover. Whenever you see me and Mariah, we're going to give you our take on some of the hot topics in the genre of country rap. Gotta say salute to my guy, Chief. Y'all know Chief is going to always come through and break down those bars when we do Country Rap Report review shows. So we're trying to give you guys different elements of the genre. So before we get too deep into it, please, if you haven't already, it's 4 things we'd like you to do. Number 1, please subscribe to the channel. All right, please subscribe to the channel. Number 2, if you're not in the live chat on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., then if you're watching the playback, get in the comments and let us know what you'd like to see when it comes to content. If it's an artist you want us to talk about, if it's an artist you want us to interview, just let us know in the comments. Number three, and this is a very, very important one to me. If you like the content, if you hate the content, if you like it, hit the thumbs up like Mariah just did. Get your Jim Duggan on. Hey. You remember Jim Duggan?
It's a wrestling thing, isn't it?
Yes. Now, hit the Jim Duggan. And remember, if you do like the content, it's always nice when you like something to share it with someone. Sharing is caring. So share the content with a friend. There might be someone who like, I ain't even never heard of country rap. This is an opportunity for you to be a good friend and share this information with them. And then maybe they'll discover something that might change their life. Because this genre has changed a lot of people's lives. And what me and Mariah are going to talk about today is a person whose life was changed by being part of this genre. And they have evolved into something quite amazing. Something that I'm very, very proud to say I'm witnessing. Because I've never seen, what's the term? Meteor something, it got to do with rise.
Yes, like ascension, like just yeah, we know. Okay, do they know who it is? Probably by now, maybe.
Well, if you don't, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there is a documentary on Hulu. It's called Save Me, and it's
worth the free trial too. If they don't have Hulu, get the free trial. It's worth it.
Yes, Save Me, and it's a documentary of Jellyroll.
Yes, Jellyroll.
We're going to give you our opinion, our insight of what we both seen. Real quick, the documentary, because I got some stuff here. Real quick, the documentary actually dropped. Let me see if I got the actual release date. It dropped like 2 weeks ago. I think it dropped.
Yeah, I want to say, was it the end of May or beginning of June? I want to say
like June the 3rd. It actually dropped a week before the album.
Yes, so Witsit Chapel dropped on June 2nd. I do know that the album is Witsit Chapel, and it was released on June 2nd. So maybe the documentary was before that.
Yeah, because I can't. Let me see if I can find the release date. Let's see.
I know for sure the album Witsit Chapel was June 2nd.
Have you had an opportunity to check out the album?
I've listened to quite a few of the songs behind bars with Struggle Jennings and Brantley Gilbert. And because it was part of our topic that we talked about last week in our country rap hot topics. So I did listen to it, and then I've listened to the one called Church. And I've listened to, I mean, of course, I've heard some of them. You know how an artist will drop like singles along the way before their album. So heard some of those.
It dropped on May 30th. So it was like a week before the album. Amazing documentary. But you know what? Because Mariah, I watched the documentary. I didn't take a lot of notes, but I've actually watched it twice. But Mariah got notes. So
yeah,
we're going to follow Mariah's lead, and I'm going to chime in on some of the things I've seen as we talk about her notes. And man, we're just going to give you our breakdown of this documentary and why we feel like you should watch it. Now, let me start by saying this. The one thing I've noticed when you incline, when you go up, there's this thing called haters that comes along with you. No matter how nice you are, no matter how much you want to bless people, there is this thing called haters that come along with success. And I've seen a large amount of Jelly hate. A lot of people that might have been from his past, a lot of people who might feel the main thing I've been seeing, it's sold out. He sold out. He sold out.
Yeah. Yep.
The one thing I'm gonna say before you get into some of the things that you got in watching this documentary, they talked to Jelly's two brothers. They talked to his they talked to one of his security, one of the stage hands, and the entire band, as well as his wife. And his merch guy. Come on, they even got the merch guy on there.
Yeah.
And
the security guys, the bus driver, Bunny, of course, his wife. I wrote all their names down as well. So they did. And like you said, to go back to with success comes the haters. I have heard that. I've heard that a lot about how Jelly has quote unquote sold out. I mean, I think he's winning. So, the documentary does speak a lot to the way he feels about that. I think at the end, it does kind of wrap it up. I think he's still staying true to who he is, though.
I do too. The thing that, say what you want to say. Everybody who does this, if you're not doing this to first change your life and then to change the lives of the people you love, you're a hobbyist. You're a hobbyist. And that's fine. But, I collect Funkos as a hobby. It's not going to change nobody's life because I collect Funkos. Now, maybe when I die, they'll be worth some money and it'll change someone's life. But in watching this documentary, one thing I noticed first and foremost, Jelly's success has literally changed the life of at least 10 people. At
least. And that's very, very low estimate, I'm sure. I mean, people can and they can testify to how his music has saved them, changed them, helped them, and that is the beauty of it. The first time I heard therapeutic music was in a Jellyroll song. So, it truly does speak volumes to the way that he's helped people.
All right, so let's get into it, Mariah. What you got?
All right, so one of the things, to go back to how we kind of started, was you had mentioned the rise, and something that I took note of is his manager. I think his last name is like Manili or something. John Manili is his manager, it said on the documentary. So he has a manager. He said ascension. He used the word ascension to describe where Jellyroll has came from and to where he's going. So I looked up the actual textbook definition of ascension, just to make it applicable to the documentary and the story that was being told. So the actual definition of ascension is the act of rising to an important position or a higher level. So do you think that pretty much describes, or not pretty much, do you think that describes what Jellyroll has done?
Absolutely.
I do too. So I felt like that was a very good word choice for him. It's a bigger, it's not a word that everybody may know the definition of. I did, but I wanted to get, make sure that I got it right. But yes, I think that his transition from rapping, most people know Jellyroll as a rapper, right? He's from Antioch, Tennessee, and they are used to seeing him rap. They're used to that kind of hard, cultured rap. So I think that his transition into country music is kind of got a lot of people confused, but also paying very close attention because they're interested.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm gonna be honest. What he's doing now, from the country aspect, I think has put him in a position to reach and change more lives than him being the traditional rapper he was.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. More outreach, more resources, just more knowledge collectively and collaboratively what he's doing right now. He's going to have more hands on deck, more people that know what to do, have different niches that they specialize in. So the potential to reach more people, in my opinion, is never a bad thing. I mean, I equate that to being a good thing in the aspect of helping other people. So I find that, I agree with you on that 100%.
Let me tell you something I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the setup. When it first comes on, it shows Jellyroll doing probably what back in the day we used to have these DVD documentaries where people interview people, put them on a DVD, and it dates back to 2015, and it's actually showing Jellyroll being interviewed in a laundromat, and he's talking about, I don't know if I'm really chasing a dream or if I'm just doing something that's not going to end up mattering. I thought that was the perfect setup to jump into this story, because in 2015, he still had doubts about was he doing what he was meant to do. And then it shows him, it's kind of reflective of it showing him sitting in the stands in Bridgestone Arena in his hometown where he's about to do a show in front of 16,000 people. And he's just reflecting on how this place was the place he's seen so many people, and he never thought he'd see the day that he would grace that stage, and how important of a moment it is. I thought that was so dope in capturing that moment in time from 2015, sitting in a laundromat, to now in 2003, less than 10 years later, you're about to perform at one of the biggest venues, definitely of his life.
Yes, Bridgestone was huge. I mean, to my knowledge, I'm not sure the seating, but huge. And you could see the place was absolutely packed, sold out. I think Struggle came up on stage with him at one point. I didn't get to go. I would have loved to, but he does. Yeah, you're right. He's sitting in the documentary in the beginning. He's like, to think I would have never thought that it was possible. And he says, like, if you'd ask, 14-year-old Jason, because his name is Jason DeFord, was the birth name. If you'd asked 14-year-old Jason, if this was ever going to be possible, no way. So from where it came from and everything, it was a perfect setup to the documentary and the way that it began. So it kind of gives you a little sneak peek overview at the beginning, and then it goes into, back to the beginning. But they talk about his childhood and stuff, and how, he can relate to a lot of people from having a broken childhood. I think, his parents, his mom had problems with drugs and isolating herself. I think a lot of people tuned into Jellyroll during the pandemic too, which I find, kind of a direct correlation, relatability wise.
You know what I thought was dope about that? He talked about the Save Me song, which the documentary is named after. And Save Me is actually the song. He was already gaining fan base from the grind of going from city to city, state to state, passing out CDs, doing shows in front of 100 people. He was already doing that. That's part of that hip hop culture, that element of I'm just going out here beating the concrete, performing where I can. But he talked about the pandemic and how he just uploaded this song Save Me during the pandemic, and he just kind of forgot about it. Next thing you know, 1 million, 2 million, and 30 million. Like
the views took an ascension.
Yes, the views are out of here.
Yeah. I took a note on that because the way he put it into words really struck a chord with me. He said, let me see if I can find it here in my notes, the way that, because it relates to what we do as far as for the genre, sharing music and stuff. The way that Jellyroll put it, it just hit home with me so much. Like, I felt it because he said, what did he say? The song Save Me, the way that it was possible. I can't find it in my notes. He just says that, it's because you shared it on Instagram. It's because you picked up the phone and called a friend and said, hey, you have to hear this song. That's what made it possible. And that's why it took off like it did. And then he says, and then the record labels started calling nonstop. So
he said every single record label called. I thought those, he said every single record label in America has called me, want me to be part of their label. Like, who can say that every single label has called them? And I thought that was amazing. And I'm gonna say this: and this is for anybody watching this show, it shows you the power of the people. It shows you the power of us banding together for a common cause. Say, hey, check this out. Hey, check this out. He mentions he spent that much money. He didn't buy no Google ads. He didn't buy no subs. He didn't buy no views. He didn't buy no anything. It was the message in the song that made it relatable to make people want to tell a friend that sharing is caring. People care enough to share the record.
Right, and that's exactly what he said. He said it's because you all shared it. That is the power of the people. And, you know, a lot of artists, they work really hard to gain people that will do that, that will be willing to, you know, call a friend or a family member and say, hey, I want you to hear this song. Because sometimes people are, you know, they feel it's awkward or something. It never hurts, you know, to me, it's not hurting nothing. There's only something to be gained by sharing. And like you say at the beginning, you know, make sure you guys share the video. Sharing is caring. You're 100%. And so that was possible. And yes, the way he said it was, you know, because people posted on Instagram, Facebook, and he was so proud of the way that it had changed lives. There's one point in the documentary I want to note before I forget about it, and then I'll go back. The longest pause in the entire documentary, which is like an hour and 30 some minutes, is when he's reading and he's scrolling through social media and he's looking to see who all has shared or tagged him. And he's talking about the song She, which is about a lady. It's written about a lady that has a drug problem, and it's filmed an aspect of the ambulance coming to get her first. And it rewinds backward in the video to show, you know, her popping pills at a party. So it was written about his mom. He was looking through and scrolling to see who had tagged him when the song came out. And he stopped on one and it said, you know, it shared the song and it said, sis, this is for you. I hope you're out there listening. We're all praying for you to come home. And he got so emotional, he told him to cut the cameras. He was done recording for that day. It hit him so hard. It was in his feels, you know, so much. And that was the longest pause in the whole documentary. I was like, man, that's heavy.
Yeah. I also really respect the transparency of him talking about his mother, and how she went from being such a fun-loving, life of the party mother to basically getting hurt and basically getting on pain meds. And it turning into a life of addiction, and how it completely changed her. And then he talked about how basically even with himself, how he battled with drugs. Like, he's basically done every drug known to man, and he's survived it. But those lessons he learned from his mother made him not completely want to go down that path. And I'm gonna be honest, I've never struggled or battled with addiction, but I have family members who have, and I know how hard of a journey and a fight that is. And a lot of people succumb to that. And I wasn't sure, and maybe I missed it because that engulfed me so much. I don't know if his mother is still with us or not, but both of his brothers and him spoke on his mother's addiction. And you have to be extremely transparent as a person to be able to get on camera and say that before millions. Because you know there's going to be some people that's going to scrutinize it. There's going to be people that admire it, but there's going to be those scrutinizers also. But I admire him for that, and that, which probably was part of the reason his addiction, the mental health situations where he battled with his weight. He battled with not being good enough for sports, not being good enough, being too big, too large for music.
Yeah, it didn't fit in, inadequate. He said he felt, you know, not worthy or inadequate, or like you said, his weight was, he was too fat for the industry or whatever. But he didn't have to start in the industry. He started doing him, which is, you know, the beauty of it is, and he's still being him. And that's, you know, I think that he felt like, you know, his mom, that's what I thought at first too, was, you know, oh my gosh, he's sharing this very vulnerable and transparency, you know, with people, and they're gonna, I'm like, surely she, you know, she's probably passed on, because how's she gonna feel about him speaking on it? But yeah, I mean, that just shows how truly transparent he is, and how humble and honest and willing to be vulnerable because she's still with us. And he said doctors still have not found the right cocktail or the right combination. But he started with drugs young, like 15. He'd done acid, shrooms, all kinds of stuff. He mentioned smoking meth out of a light bulb, just insane. So I think he's humble. He's grateful to be alive and to have made it through what he's made it through. So many people relate to that. And when you see the documentary and you see the crowd, and they show moments where there are people of every color, every demographic, every age group, just belting out with him. And they're in wheelchairs and they're jumping up and down. They're all kinds.
Look, and listen, to everyone who battles with weight issues, who feel like you're not good enough, when you watch this, there are children in the audience crying over this man who is definitely well over 300 pounds. So if you can't look at someone like Jelly and say, I am good enough, that's the thing. You got to say, I am good enough. Because even me at a young age, I dealt with, we didn't call it mental health issues when I was young. We called it self-esteem. You got low self-esteem. And I battled with being dark. I felt like because I was dark that people viewed me as being threatening, or maybe they thought I was ugly. And that, I ain't gonna lie, that was a big stumbling block into my life, to the point where now some people tell me I'm arrogant. And my arrogance came from me reversing the tide on all those people. They used to call me stuff, Black Jesus, Tar Baby. I used to hear all these names. And eventually I was like, you know what? My mother loves the hell out of me. And because I know my mother loves the hell out of me, I know there's a creator that loves the hell out of me. And that's all I need.
Yes.
And I started to just build confidence within me and say, I'm good enough. And I don't care if nobody else thinks I'm good enough, I'm good enough. And I'm sure at some point in time, because he talks about how he was like, his family singing was like howling dogs.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I just sing from the stomach. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And all those things that, because when you think of singing, we tend to think of sex symbols, slim, pretty, beautiful, whether it's male or female. So he probably felt like the only thing I'm gonna be able to do is be a rapper. But he turned it around, bro. And to see women falling out crying because of this guy, you should be able to look at this guy and say, you know what? I'm good enough too. If Jelly's good enough, I'm good enough.
Right. And that's so true. And that's such a good way to handle, like you said, they didn't call it mental health even when I was growing up, and there's a gap in our age difference, but, even when I was growing up, we didn't call it mental health issues and stuff, but to turn it around and make it into something positive, or to use it to, empower yourself is very inspiring as well. And you can see that Jellyroll's obviously done that too. Although he said verbatim that he is still very self-conscious, very shy. And he was very shy to sing at the CMAs. He was very shy, to get out of that car and walk the red carpet. They felt like they didn't belong. I think Bunny said they felt like she wasn't sure if they didn't fit in, but like she just knew that they were different. And he said they felt too trashy.
Absolutely.
And it's like, well, I think that's natural because it's like his first time. But Reba went by, and I think he yelled out to Reba, and I'm not sure if I don't think she turned around and responded to him. And I was like, oh man.
But he was like, Reba. And to me, that was a form of transparency, because you know how many artists make it and all of a sudden I'm the man and I've been the man. Man, that guy is like a kid in the candy store. He's happy to be there, like Reba.
Right, the inner child comes out. The joy that you see from him is what makes it like you want to watch and see more, and you just get so happy because he was like a kid in a candy store. He didn't even care that she didn't respond, probably. But for them to to go to those CMAs, I know was a big deal for him. Obviously, but to feel like, that he's never been enough in his life, but then to finally be there had to be just the most overwhelming and powerful feeling.
Yeah.
And the way that he put it, the way he was, talking about red rocks and stuff, he said, almost perfect comes around in life a lot. But perfect never does. And he said, the red rocks show that he did was almost perfect. And that was the one with Brantley Gilbert.
But I'm gonna say this, and this made it real relatable to me. In February, I had an opportunity to visit Red Rock.
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't see a show there, but I had an opportunity to visit, and it's one of the most beautiful places. If you ever get a chance to go to Denver, Colorado, please visit Red Rock. It's open. It's like a tourist attraction, so you can walk inside the amphitheater at any given time because it's in the rocks. But it is an amazing place. So if you ever go to Denver, Colorado, I strongly advise everybody check out Red Rock. It's beautiful. And that made me feel like, I'm like, oh hell, shit! I just barely missed Jelly.
Yeah, I've been there. My dad always wanted to see Stevie Nicks. He was obsessed with Stevie Nicks, and he passed away 10 years ago. He always wanted to see Stevie Nicks at Red Rocks. He had this VHS tape there where he had recorded it, and he would play that all the time as kids. But yeah, you know what he did at Red Rocks? He went and he sat down in where the audience would be. It's like this pre-show thing that they do, this ritual before a show, and he goes and he sits where the audience is going to be, so he can picture. This is what he says. So he can picture what they're going to see, and he wants to make sure that that they're happy, that it's going to be awesome. He's not thinking about himself so much. He wants to go sit where the ticket holders are going to be. So I thought that was really cool to see him go sit there.
Speaking of transparency, 2 moments of transparency also that touched me. One was about his friend who basically, this is a kid that he called his nephew, who was a person younger than him who lost his life to gun violence. And, we all know if you got a television, if you got the internet, there's someone dying of gun violence every single day in our country. And I know there's a large amount of gun advocates who watch this show, but the gun violence is
bad. It's worse than ever.
And this was a young guy who was a father who's not going to be here, and that really touched him. And that was at the beginning of his ascension. Like that was going on as he was inclining. So this was probably a person who definitely would have been part of his team on the road, who's not going to see that success. Also, really, really talking about transparent. How many men are willing to say that my wife worked in the sex industry?
Right, and he admits it, and she admits it, and they're okay with it. They'll still love each other. That's something that struck one of my family members kind of off. They're like, surely she doesn't still work, does she? And I'm like, I think so.
I'm not sure. They didn't really get into whether she still works, but I know she does the podcast, and the podcast have all those innuendos in it and talk about it. And I'm sure you can find her work. You can't scrub the internet. I'm sure you can find it, but you have to have a level of security with your mate to know that this is out there, whether she still does it or not. It's gonna always be a thing. So meet it head on, as opposed to ducking from it, saying, "Oh, it's my past." No, they even talked about the fact that when they met, Jelly wasn't in the best financial situation, and she kind of lying him with party favors.
Yeah, he would call her and say, "Hey, I need something for Bailey Ann, his daughter." He would call her and say, "My daughter needs yada yada," because even though he was doing his thing, like she had more money, she was more financially stable than him at that point, which that's pretty amazing, and kudos to her for sticking by him. And I think that they had a very interesting meeting and relationship. They got married really quick. He said 11:59. They were drunk, and it was a quick drunk and last minute kind of wedding, but they're still together now.
Still here now, and she's been very, very supportive of his career. And I thought, like I said, their love is something, because he even talked about how when they first met, or maybe she spoke on it, and how people was saying, "Now, man, she's a gold digger," but she was in a better financial position than him.
Right. Yeah. People could judge thinking that she's the gold digger, but in reality, they, without them knowing the real story, he was the one getting money from her. And she's a West Coast girl, like she said, and her coming out to Nashville, she said something like, I don't know if I was supposed to wear, glitter boots or what, however she said it, rhinestones and all that, but I think she's kind of staying true to herself too. And she's very open about everything. And I think that, that what they have is something different. And if it works, it works. I mean, they're still together. So obviously it's working out and they're happy. And that's all. I mean, that's all that matters, is that they're happy. So something else that they said, that I, struck home with me, is that I didn't know Jellyroll came from like a meat. His grandpa, I guess, owned a meat company.
Well, yeah.
And his dad, I guess, took it over. So that was kind of the family legacy. Because I always kind of like to see people's family tree, like as far as work and stuff, where they come from. And his dad, I guess, had like a meat company, but he said his dad was a hustler with it. So even, it was a totally different kind of work. Still a hustler, still, a very hard worker, he said. So I found that interesting. But of course, his parents divorced, like a lot of, marriages these days. But that was, there's a song, The Train Tracks. He said something about when his parents divorced, it was like going back to his dad's on the other side of the train tracks. And there's a song.
This meeting is being recorded.
So yeah, I mean, I know that the train tracks in his life are, like they're a memory, but also they are noted in his songs as part of history. And so, his daughter, it seems like she's very well adapted to, talking about Jelly and Bunny's relationship and stuff. She's old enough to understand, she seems happy. Even her mom had struggles with like the alcohol, or I don't know about alcohol, but he mentioned addiction and stuff. So he had his mom, his baby's mama. I hate saying baby mama, but his daughter's mom. And I heard Bunny say that was part of their inspiration to do better, is when they took in Bailey Ann, and she thought, well, who are we to say that, she wasn't suited to live with her birth mom when we might pop a pill, or we're over here partying and stuff. And it's like, well, that's really real of Bunny to say too, so they quit, doing some things just to be better parents.
Absolutely.
And I thought,
and not to interrupt, it takes a lot to say, I want to be better.
Yeah, yeah. Especially on a huge documentary. To me, this documentary is huge. I don't know where it stands like numbers wise, but very well done. Of course, being in journalism and stuff, how things are sometimes very scripted and stuff. The only thing I seen the angle they did on Jellyroll whenever he would speak, and he was sitting in that chair, and it reminded me of like this is being really honest, and I'm sorry, but it reminded me of like a TLC show where they're like talking about people's weight. The camera angle that they were talking to Jellyroll on when he was sitting in that chair, I'm like, could they have not done it like that way? But that's all, it doesn't really matter. It's just the fact that he's lost a lot of weight recently, and he's exercising. Seems like he's very happy and on the track to becoming healthier, and just, he's dropped the album, and that I think that he's very, very goal oriented and achieving those goals. So the documentary is a great thing for him right now, and I think he shows it with the way he talks. Now, I wanted to talk about the youth, the work he does with the youth before we end it, because that seemed like the end. The goal for him was to mentor the youth. Did you gather that too, kind of?
Yeah. Well, I think it definitely, like I said, I got the aspect of him wanting to, number one, let them know, even from his status, that he's struggled with mental health. He struggled with the legal system. He's been locked up 40 plus times.
40 plus.
Yeah. So I think going to talk to the youth, it provides them with a different picture. Because when you come from a poverty-stricken area, no matter your color, your race, your gender, sometimes all you see is negative. And for someone of his amount of success to come back and give you an hour of his time, it makes you combat that a little bit and realize.
Yes.
So that touched my heart.
Yeah, he said showing up. He said what matters the most is, he feels like those kids during the holidays, especially, they don't have anybody that shows up. They're not consistent, so showing up and showing love to those kids, it makes a world of difference in their lives. And he doesn't want to see them in 4 years in the adult prison, but just saying, showing up and showing them love in the hardest times of their life is so important to him. And I respect the hell out of that, because it's so true. When you're sick or when you're down and out or the hardest times of your life, you find out who's really going to be there for you. And I feel like Jellyroll's there for them.
And you know what? Something that we didn't say, and because we'll be there mess around and made people not have to watch the documentary because we're going so detailed. But you said adult prison. He even talks about going from juvenile to the adult situation. But I want y'all to watch the documentary. Me and Mariah can't tell y'all everything.
Definitely. I mean, I think it's very much worth it. Even if you think you know everything about Jellyroll, all of his songs. Another thing he said real quick, he says, "Now I write music for people, love, and legacy. It has nothing to do with money. If it was about money, I'd have shown my character already." And I was like, wow. I mean, that's true. If it was about money for him, because his net worth right now is probably the most it's ever been. Not probably. His net worth right now is the most it's ever been, I'm sure. And he said if it were about money, he would have showed his character already. He said, "I write music for people, love, and legacy." And I'm like, that's right. That's dope. You couldn't have said it better myself. So yeah, his daughter was a divine intervention in his life. I think that, he's got a great family support system. I watched him writing in that room, the writing room where he has the Hillary lady helping him. She's a Hall of Fame songwriter. That was new to me. Like, I don't usually get to see that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I thought that was dope. And I was like, man, what song are they working on? I want to hear that song. Because I like how they was pulling it together. I thought that was real dope to share that with the people too. And I thought it was dope to show his daughter backstage at Bridgestone and having her there, and I wonder was his mother, because I didn't catch whether his father was still with us or not, but if his entire family was able to enjoy that moment. But he definitely had his daughter there and Bunny there.
Yeah. His mom wasn't able to make it to the Bridgestone. She broke her ankle the day before. I did research that because I was curious as well. There's just so much in this documentary. I mean, even though we've said a lot, like, there's just so much in it, like about how Grit favors his voice, writing the songs and stuff. I mean, there's so much packed into it, and it's very well put together. I thought it was very well put together. I want to see more. Like, I was still left wanting to see more, and there was a lot to it. So very real. He seemed very real. I didn't feel like any of it was, scripted too much, or that it was being fake or trying to please, mainstream or whatever, like Hulu or whoever the documentary makers are. I didn't feel that way. I never did get that feeling. Did you?
No, I didn't. And let me say this, because anytime we watch something, I'm sure everybody who's watched this documentary could say this. There's always things that you want to see. And this was only, like you said, it was only like an hour and a half. It's actually, the runtime is 87 minutes. So it's like an hour and 27 minutes. The only thing that I would have liked to see more, and that's just because of me and my nature, I want to, okay, I know he's this huge country singer now, but I would have loved to hear just at least 10, 15 minutes talking about his rap grind, his ties to street flavor. I would have loved to hear that, and I thought that would have been amazing for street flavor and what they're continuing to build. But I understand from a record label perspective, it doesn't benefit the record label to talk about street flavor and
right.
rapping in the clubs in Memphis, Tennessee, and Nashville. So
right.
But that purist part of me was like, man, y'all could have gave us 20 more minutes. And he talked about the rap grind. But I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I agree. And I see that now. I feel like, he had a long history before he ever transitioned or ascended into this country music thing. It kind of focused on a lot on his new album, Wits at Chapel. I mentioned the song She earlier. It was dope. He actually did a call in where this wasn't from the documentary. This is something that only if you were live on YouTube to catch him doing it. He put up a hotline. People were calling him and speaking to him personally while his song She was about to drop. It's called She, and it was written about his mom. But yeah, he was doing a call-in thing and talk to Jellyroll, and then they put the suicide and addiction help hotline numbers at the end, which is dope. They did that in the documentary too. But with his album Wits at Chapel, it seemed to kind of focus on that and didn't go into the history so much, like Street Flavor, Sunny Paradise, back with Haystack and all that, like you said. None of that was in the documentary, but we can always gather more information on that on our own. But he said that his new album was all about growth and gratitude in real time. And so I do want to check out more songs on the new album with that, knowing that now and hearing that in the back of my head as I listen to the songs, is inspiration for me to go check out the rest of the album. So I know that he said that he never felt hopeful until now. That made me tear up a little bit. He feels like he owes it to his fans to give them hope. I mean, that's real. It can't get more real than that. Other than that, he told one girl in the documentary from the rehab center a quote that I wrote down, and he told her, "We overcome by the power of our testimony. Don't let anyone tell you how to grieve." He told her, talk about it every day if you need to. Talk about it until you can smile when you talk about it. And you could tell it really, really left an impact on that young lady. Her mom, her grandma were there with her. So she had suffered, she had lost somebody from addiction or something. And just the way that he's able to impact people's lives through his music, but not only that, through the mentorship, working with the community. That's what really blew me away and impressed the hell out of me, was how they tied it all into being about the community. And they say he is Nashville, Tennessee's superstar. Nashville, Tennessee's superstar is Jellyroll. That's what the documentary says. How do you feel about that?
I agree 100%. He is right now Nashville, Tennessee superstar, and he's homegrown. And like I said, even though they don't focus on the rap, he came from the rap, and it lets you know it's possible. Before we get up out of here, I do want to, for anyone who doesn't know, I want to end with letting people know how Wits at Chapel done when it came out. It was number 3 on the Billboard Top 200 chart. It was number 2 on the Billboard Country Top 200 chart. It was number 1 on the Billboard Rock Top 200 chart. It was number 1 on the Billboard Rock and Alternative Top 200 chart. Those are Billboard Top 200 chart numbers. All right, album sales chart. It was number 1 current country albums, number 1 current rock album, number 1 current digital albums, number 1 digital album, number 1 independent album. So for all you people saying Jelly sold out, what you don't know is Jelly signed a deal with a major distributor. He is still an independent artist being distributed by a major distributor. Y'all stop saying he sold out. He's still an independent artist. He still can call his own shots. Y'all stop that. Number 3 in album sales and number 3 in current album sales. An amazing first week for Jelly.
Wow.
Kicked it off with the documentary, followed it up 7 days later with Wits at Chapel, the album. My man is having a run that no artist, that's amazing to be a person who was once covered on this show that talks about country rap.
Right, from the country rap genre, being whatever we do, independent country rap, covering that kind of media and stuff, to see where he's at now at the CMAs. It's almost surreal for me. I've only been doing the country rap thing 2.5 years, maybe not even that long, and it's still surreal for me. It's crazy. It's just it's insane. It gives me goosebumps to hear those statistics and dead on with the, he didn't sell out, signed with the distributor. They're helping him. He's using the resources and the tools like we talked about on our last episode, Country Rap Hot Topics. anybody, please go watch that. If you haven't yet, you'll find out about his stalker. We tell you more little bits and pieces about Jellyroll that you may not know. So yeah, I mean, of course I got lots of notes. I could go on forever, but I think that we've pretty much done it. I don't want to ruin it for people. So
all right, before we go, for those who don't know, you can hashtag Country Rap Birthdays. Country Rap Report, we are the creators of Country Rap Birthdays. So what I decided to do when me and Mariah get together, I'm going to give you the birthdays for the week, and it might be done past or might not came. But for this week, I want to say happy birthday. On the 18th was Roland Church. On the 19th was Country Cody and Cody Lane. On the 20th, Stacks 727. On the 21st, Lily Styles. And on the 22nd, Mr. Boot Scootin' Boogie himself, I don't think that's his name, was Boot Scoot something. Mr. Ryan Charles. Ryan Charles, okay. If you don't know Ryan Charles, Boot Scoot Goofin' or Boot Goofin' or something. Ryan Charles was on a major television show. The show, it was a talent show featuring Snoop Dogg and Kelly Clarkson. I can't remember the name of it, but he was one of the top 10 contestants in that, and he's from the genre country rap. So again, happy birthday this week to Roland Church, Country Cody, Cody Lane, Stack 727, Lily Styles, and Ryan Charles.
Happy birthday, all you guys. Wow, that's a lot of birthdays this recently.
This week.
I interviewed Cody. I think Country Cody, I interviewed him. So yeah, that's awesome.
Where can they find you?
Happy belated birthday.
Where can they find you? Where can they find you before we go?
They can find, okay. Oh, you're good. You guys can find me on YouTube. It's all caps Creeker Mariah. I do a podcast. I interview artists. I do reactions. Sometimes I get on there and play music and talk. I do topics, news. You can find me on Instagram, all caps Creeker Mariah. TikTok, I'm not as active as I'd like to be. And you can find me on Facebook as well. I usually post quite a bit in the Country Rap Report group on Facebook. So if you guys aren't following us over there, make sure you follow us there.
You're the admin.
Yes.
I just hit you.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'll accept it. Yeah, I've admin groups, huge groups before. So thank you.
Y'all make sure the best way to keep up with me is on the Country Rap Report Instagram. Also, make sure you join the Country Rap Report Facebook group. If you want to check out country rap content on TikTok, it's on the Riding Dirty page. Remember, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And man,
our Spotify playlist is dope. I've been playing our Spotify on my TV lately. Isn't it like the #1 country rap playlist on Spotify?
We're number 4 when it comes to the genre of country rap.
That's dope. Yeah, it's a good playlist. So looking forward to adding to it. All right.
Thank everybody for checking out the show. Again, if you're watching the playback, we appreciate you. Salute to all the first and last time listeners. Viewers, not listeners, I'm my radio thing. How the first, and if you are a first time viewer, thank you. If this is your last time, you promise you ain't never watching this again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because you can't take your view back. We got it.
Nope.
Nah, boo boo. Until next time, Mariah, it's always an honor and a pleasure to do this with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, everybody, thank you all for watching, and I hope you guys watch the next one. And this is where we say peace, right?
No, this is why I tell them, y'all make sure also follow the homie, Chief, on Instagram, Chief_TrailerMade. Salute the Chief. All right?
We love you, Chief. Yes, we love Chief. All right. Peace.